The November 17th, 2020 school board meeting. This evening I have the invocation and pledge. I borrowed from Nick Ortner, The Tapping Solution, a short lesson on gratitude. When your life seems full of troubles, it seems difficult to maintain an attitude of gratitude, doesn't it? All we see are our problems like a blackened storm cloud, casting a dark shadow over our lives. And the times when everything just seems to be going smoothly, we often take these precious moments for granted too, don't we? Caught up in the bliss, comfort, and familiarity of it all, we can simply forget to be thankful. So what then is gratitude? Simply put, gratitude is a habit. It's a way of looking at the world and all the good things in it with a feeling of appreciation, regardless of whether or not your current situation is to your liking. Gratitude is a heart-centered approach to being at peace with yourself and all that you have. When you practice this feeling of gratitude, it attracts even more things in your life for which you should be grateful, and you will be grateful. Go ahead and try it out right now. Who or what do you have in your life to be thankful for? Thank you. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let the record reflect the Superintendent Griffin, School Board Attorney Ms. Beeman, School Board Clerk Ms. Moramis, and all the school board members are in attendance this evening. School board members, the roll call order for this evening will be as follows. Member Kraus, Vice Chair Pennock, Dr. Calderon, Member Sanchez, and then myself. Do we have any blue forms, Madam Clerk? Thank you. Dr. Griffin, do you have any modifications of the agenda?
Madam Chair, I have two modifications. The first is the addendum. Good cause is marked on an electronic agenda by a green flag named addendum item. And I'm also pulling agenda item 2B, Senator David Simmons recognition.
Thank you. School board members, do you have any modifications or questions? Member Kraus?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pennock?
No, ma'am.
Dr. Calderon?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Member Sanchez?
No modifications. Thank you.
Thank you. I have for ITN 5AB, Child Care Management Software. Is there a motion to approve the agenda outline?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Dr. Griffin?
Okay, I believe we're going to move right to our swearing-in ceremonies. Perfect.
Ready? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend
I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States and of the state of Florida,
the Constitution of the government of the United States and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state,
that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
and that I will well and willfully perform the duties
faithfully perform the duties of a Seminole County School Board member
of a Seminole County School Board member
on which I am now about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Pardon? Right hand. And your hand on the Bible. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support, protect, and defend
to support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and the government
of the United States and the state of Florida,
of the United States and the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I'm duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of this state,
under the Constitution of this state,
and I will well and faithfully perform
and I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of Seminole County School Board member,
the duties of the Seminole County School Board member,
for which I am now about to enter.
for which I'm now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Anybody wants to, if any want to come up and take a quick picture with me with their mask on, that would be great.
Who's doing it better? Let me take a picture of you with your flowers.
For your birthday.
He's outside in the lobby. Judge is leaving now?
Yes, Judge is leaving now. Perfect.
Congratulations. Are we going to stand for this? Thank you. We're going to stand.
And it's right here because this bar microphone will pick you right up.
I can take this out.
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Okay.
Fine, how are you? Just tell me when you're ready.
We can go right now.
Okay.
Good evening, Dr. Griffin and school board members. It's with great honor that I introduce tonight Mr. Bernardo Santiago Colon. We're here to honor him for his service to our country during his 11 years of active duty in the United States Army. Mr. Santiago Colon was born in Jadillo, Puerto Rico. He joined the Army right after high school graduation, attending basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey, and later being stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and Fort Wainwright in Alaska, the last being his final serving post before returning to civilian life. During his years of active duty service, Sergeant Bernardo Santiago Colon was a supply operations manager who became a war veteran during Operation Desert Storm, and whose military career was honored with the Army Service Ribbon, National Defense Service Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Medal, Army Achievement Medal, and Overseas Service Ribbon. Mr. Bernardo, as he's called by our staff and students at Evans, began his career with us in 2016, working for contracted companies serving Seminole County Public Schools. Since day one, it was obvious that Mr. Bernardo took his job responsibilities seriously. He is caring and has a kind personality. He's willing to help even when time is limited. He eventually became our head custodian due to his strong work ethic. As one approaches Bernardo, his smile is ever present, his kind words always spoken. He's always positive, tackling any job or challenge presented with great patience and ability. Mr. Bernardo has brought to Evans the high standards that are taught to and expected from military service members: honor service, lead by example, and working as a team. For school events, Bernardo and his team go the extra mile, setting up and then leaving Evans in perfect order for the following school day. Evans campus is clean and in good repair since Mr. Santiago Colon joined the staff. Staff members describe Mr. Bernardo as the best.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Griffin. I'm honored to introduce you to the first two of 7 administrative promotions this evening. Both of these individuals were hired to support us at Seminole County Virtual School this summer during our massive enrollment scale up, and we are thrilled to have both of them. So our first introduction is Amy Aglio. Ms. Aglio is a servant leader with diverse educational and instructional experiences, a total of more than 15 years of instruction, teaching in traditional, blended, and virtual settings. She has 2 bachelor's degrees, one from the UK and one from Australia, a master's degree from Nova Southeastern, and her educational specialist in ed leadership from Stetson University. We're excited to have her on board at Seminole County Virtual, and she has a contingent of family and friends with her tonight, and we'd ask you all to stand and be recognized. Our second new assistant principal at Seminole County Virtual School is Mr. Joe Fife. Joe earned a bachelor's degree in social studies education in 2008 from UCF and added a master's degree in educational leadership from the American College of Education in 2018. He was previously a teacher at Tuscaloosa Middle and then at Greenwood Lakes before coming to the Educational Support Center and the Department of Teaching and Learning, where he supported our new K through 12 educators and instructors. Congratulations, Joe, on your promotion to Seminole County Virtual, and his wife Liz is with him this evening.
Dr. Griffin and board members, we have 5 additions and promotions to the high school admin team. First up, Vicki Lampy, assistant principal at Lake Howell High School. Ms. Lampy is a product of Seminole County Public Schools, attending Rainbow Elementary, Tuscaloosa Middle, and then Lake Howell High School. She received her bachelor's degree from UCF, her master's from American College of Education. She was formerly a volleyball coach and CTE teacher at Lake Howell High School before moving into administration. Her family members are here tonight. Husband Tyler Lampy and son Luke Lampy, and also her principal, the wonderful Mr. Michael Howard. Also, Rachel Menta, assistant principal at Oviedo High School. She attended Stetson University for her Bachelor of Arts with a double major in English and Humanities and with a minor in education, and graduated summa cum laude in 2012. She attended the University of Florida for her Master of Arts with a major in Curriculum and Instruction in 2015. And then she attended the University of Central Florida for her Doctorate of Education with a major in Educational Leadership and finished in 2020. Quiet, please. I have the floor. Her dissertation was titled, The Position, oh my gosh, this is hard to read. I'm not that smart. Her dissertation was titled, The Position of an Instructional Literacy Coach, a case study of the perceptions of high school administrators, classroom teachers, and coaches in one Florida school district. Clap for that. She has also presented research in Washington, D.C. for the American Education Research Association on a project titled Effective Higher Education Pedagogy Intentionally as an Instructional Design Principle. She worked previously as a 9th and 10th grade English teacher, AP research teacher, instructional coach, school administration manager, and volleyball coach at Oviedo High School. With her tonight, her husband, Nick Menta, and Dr. Trent Daniel, principal of Oviedo High School. And next up, Kiwana Carpenter, assistant principal at Winter Springs High School, currently working for Seminole County Virtual School. Dr. Carpenter is a Miami native with 18 and a half years of teaching experience. During her teaching experience in Miami, Dr. Carpenter held positions as an ESE teacher, mathematics teacher, and instructional coach. While in Seminole County, Dr. Carpenter was Dean of Students at Millennium Middle School, and she's also a member of the SCPS Marketing and Discipline Committees. Family members in attendance tonight are her daughters, and I hope I get this right. Help me, Ms. Carpenter. Akiara, and Akaria. I probably got those wrong. Ferguson. Also, I believe Mr. Pete Gaffney was coming tonight, current principal, and also the really current principal, Dr. Debbie Camilleri at SCBS. She's so valuable, she's at every school. Congratulations. New principal for Lake Howell High School, Mr. Wonderful Michael Howard. Michael Howard is a seasoned administrator with over 20 years of experience in education and 14 years in school administration. He began his teaching career as a middle school science teacher. He then joined the Silverhawk family at Lake Howell High School, where he served as a teacher, assistant principal, and principal. In attendance tonight are his wife, Amy, and his kids, Devin, Kayla, Bryce, Cameron, and Katie. Congratulations, Mr. Michael Howard. His boss is also here tonight. That would be me. Principal, 9th grade center at Seminole High School, Jamie Washington. After graduating from Glade Central High School in Belle Glade, Florida, she attended Florida A&M University, and Jamie received her Bachelor of Science in Cardiopulmonary Sciences and her Master's of Science in Educational Leadership from Nova Southeastern University. With over 15 years of educational experience, she has taught middle school physical science and served as Dean of Students with Sanford Middle School and as assistant principal at Lake Brantley and Winter Springs High School. She is currently attending Walden University, working on her doctorate degree in administrator leadership. Family members tonight are Eddie Washington Jr., her husband, her son, Eddie Washington III, along with her mother and father, Rachel and Marvin Glover. And of course, I could not leave out everybody's assistant principal who's here to support her. Mr. Lance Abney is here tonight. Gotcha. I'm gonna
Bill.
Good evening, Mr. Ussie.
All right, good evening, board members and Dr. Griffin. Just a brief superintendent search update. As you know, board members, the superintendent search advertisement ended this past Friday, November 13th. At the conclusion of the applicant period, we had 28 completed applicant packets. Out of those, one person has withdrawn, so we now have 27 complete applicant packets that you should have at this time. They've also been posted on our website. All of our search committee members now have all of the packets and are currently thoroughly reviewing those and preparing for our meeting this Thursday evening. Those members are actually comparing the applicant packets to the board-approved brochure that includes the eligibility requirements for a superintendent candidate, also the leadership qualities that are listed in the brochure, along with the views of the community that were shared by Data Nautics and Sanjay Patel. So they're currently involved in that work. Thursday night, we look forward to the opportunity to have a good conversation about the candidates that are there and begin the process of narrowing that group down through that process. We anticipate the meeting Thursday, the 19th. After that, we'll have a period of time where they'll have an opportunity to delve deeper into the next group that moves forward, and we will have our next meeting on December 3rd, and I'll be updating you shortly after that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, I'm real excited about our focus on achievement this evening. Like all of you, I've been speaking with many teachers, many administrators, many parents, and we're in unknown territory during the pandemic instructionally. So I've asked our executive directors to pull together a group of teachers, and they're not here to tell us how wonderful everything is and life is easy. This is hard work, this is different work, but I really am looking for guidance for us as we move into second semester. We know we have about 7,500 additional students coming forward, and I won't even mention if we have to think about this mode for 21, 22, but I just wanted to hear, suggestions on what's working well, what isn't, what can we do better, and how can we set things up whatever we have control over for second semester, and then maybe even moving through this semester into the next year. So without further ado, let's turn it over to our facilitator, Mr. Mike Gaudreau.
Thank you, Dr. Griffin. The executive director team solicited feedback from a cross-section of 16 teachers via WebEx last week regarding the blended, or sometimes you've heard hybrid, model that many of our teachers are utilizing for instruction. Understanding that there are challenges and successes, we wanted to find out how our teachers are coping with these difficulties. The teachers were able to share their experiences and solutions in support of others who are working on the blended model. The 5 teachers sitting here before you tonight were part of that larger group discussion and have agreed to provide some strategies and best practices that we hope will be a help to more teachers across the district. As they experienced struggles with student behavior, technology, and time management, they were open to sharing what has worked and what continues to be a work in progress. So we are glad and very excited to have them here, and I'd like to start with Corey on your far left and do introductions down the row.
Hi, I'm Corey Baker. I teach at Rock Lake Middle School, English Language Arts.
Hi, good evening. I'm Robin Fancher. I'm an instructional coach and reading teacher at Seminole High School.
Hi, I'm Shannon Gill. I'm a 4th grade English Language Arts teacher at Forest City Elementary.
Hi, I'm Jessica Lorenz. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Woodlands Elementary.
Hello, I'm Jendia Cruz at Indian Trails Middle School. I am the ESOL teacher for 6, 7, and 8, and I teach reading and language arts.
Teachers, welcome. You're socially distanced. It's up to you. If you'd like to take your mask off while you're seated there, you're welcome to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, teachers. Corey, let's start with you. What elements of the blended teaching model are working for you and why?
So one of the things that's really working for me at Rock Lake, and again, it hasn't been perfect. It's been a challenging year for all of us. But one thing that I get to do this year that I've never gotten to do in my entire career is rapport building in a totally new and unique and different, fun way. I get to see a little window into the lives that I wouldn't ordinarily get to see. So, for example, I get to see things like pets and posters. I have a student that brings Guido the python every day, wears this living, real python around her neck. It's been really cool to be able to see. I know so many names of bearded dragons this year. And just seeing the posters and like siblings, running around in the background, or just, parents getting to say like, "Hi, Mr. Baker," that kind of thing. It's special. It's like we're all in this together kind of mentality. Instruction-wise, what's been working really best is limiting teacher talk and direct instruction and really dialing that down a lot. Group work can still be safely done. And actually, one of my students just left. She was right behind me here. But she could tell you that we do a lot of group work still, almost every day, if not every day. And what I do is I use a lot of eCampus that gives us the tools that we need. A lot of times we have some self-grading things where even though it's self-grading, I can still infuse my voice throughout it. So I could say, like, if they get something wrong, a little pop-up will say with my voice saying, like, hey, you got this wrong, but here's why, you know? And so it's been really helpful. There are tasks with little manipulatives in eCampus that they can move around, and if everyone is looking at one screen and kind of working together on it, that has led to some really rich, good discussions with students trying to figure out, like, this piece of evidence should go with this claim, that kind of stuff. It's been a really positive experience as far as just continuing group work safely.
Thank you, Corey. Robin, let's move on to you. So what instructional strategies or tools are you using to make blended teaching successful?
So in regards to the different tools that I've been using this year to make blended learning successful in my classroom, is I began using Google slide decks on day one of instruction, and I continue to use it on a consistent basis because it allows me to share my screen with my Seminole Connect students, but then I can also project it onto my board for my face-to-face students to see as well. And that way I know that all students are getting the same instruction at the same time. And it also helps if a student happens to be out for a day or a period of time, I can upload these slide decks into eCampus, and they can go into eCampus, then pull it up and access any of the material that they may have missed. That way they're not falling too far behind. In regards to how or what strategies I've been using, since the beginning of the school year, I laid out a strong station rotation model that I continue to use with my students, and it's you know, at the beginning of the week, students know that typically I will start the week off with some type of whole group instruction using a Google slide deck. And from there, we move into station rotations. My students either go on the computer for Achieve 3000 or Reading Plus, and then the other group works either with myself or independently. And when it comes to them working independently, what my face-to-face students are doing reflects what my Seminole Connect students are doing as well. The only difference is my Seminole Connect students, it's formatted using a Google slide deck. And with that being said, at this point in time, students are well aware that, you know, they have to be logged into their SCPS account in order to access this slide deck, and they also know how to upload it into eCampus to submit it for a grade. As we continue with the school year, I'm slowly, gradually releasing new strategies to them. At the beginning of the year, it was a challenge trying to get them, my Seminole Connect students, to collaborate, obviously. Having them just type a response into the chat box was not working for me. And so what I've tried to start doing is, during that whole group time, or when I'm looking for that collaboration piece, I post the slide deck link into the WebEx chat box. And that way they're able to access that slide that we're on. They know to go in, insert their own text box, and they can type their response. And that way they are able to collaborate with one another. They can see each other's responses and kind of feed off of one another, but it also allows my face-to-face students to see their responses and kind of collaborate with them that way as well.
Thank you, Robin. So Shannon, what time management strategies have you implemented to manage instructional time and be able to get your work done?
Well, as for time management, I think the most seasoned of teachers have had to completely relearn that this year. Especially being a blended teacher, it's kind of like you're in two places at one time a lot of the day. Some of the time management strategies that I've implemented for myself, because I need them too, and my students, have been timers. I use a lot of timers on my phone personally, just to help me not run over a certain amount of time on a lesson, to help me remind me when I have something coming up like specials, or, you know, so-and-so in my face-to-face class needs to go to ESOL, but my friend here on Seminole Connect needs to go to, you know, their pull-out class. So it kind of helps me balance all of that. I also use Google Slides with a timer on them. I present my screen, And depending on the lesson, I'll put an amount of time on there, and that kind of helps not only for the students to know how much time they should spend on something, but for those early finishers or the people who, with everything being online, it's very easy to just kind of rush or instantaneously get that gratification of turning something in, even if it's not complete. This way I can kind of say, no, we have to keep on working on this. This is going to take you at least 15 more minutes. And it kind of has slowed down that instant turning in of assignments that they're not really completing. I also create a Google Slides assignment every week. It's kind of our weekly work packet. It's basically station materials or a slide deck. I work with my PLC to make this, and this serves as an independent practice for the people who are on Seminole Connect for those times where the face-to-face routine or schedule isn't exactly matching up with the Seminole Connect friends, whether it be a couple more minutes talking to coach on the way back from PE, or somebody had to go to the clinic face-to-face. Those kinds of things just happen. And when they do happen, I can say, remember, if I'm not back within, the 1 or 2 minutes, you're working independently on your slide decks. It just gives them something to do where I know and they know that I'm coming right back, depending on time. One last thing that I have done to help, especially with those quick workers, would be an early finisher enrichment. Like I said, I do have about 15, 20-minute timers on most lessons, and they know not to go turn it in before that. But there are some high achievers that naturally they just work quicker, and they would do it quicker. So for those students, I have an early finisher achievement or enrichment where they're able to, once they finish something, they have something else to do that will enrich them on whatever the content is that we're learning. But it also helps to kind of deter the friends who are just early finishing because there is something to do afterwards. I've noticed that really helps to lower my rushing people and to enrich my friends who just normally would finish a little bit quicker than others.
Thank you, Shane. Now, Jessica, what supports were provided to you by your colleagues and school leadership team that helped you make the transition?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I don't feel like this modality is feasible long-term. This has been the biggest challenge of my educational career, but with every challenge, there's still shining light. And I'm hoping that some of these points that are brought up today can really help the people that are struggling. One of the main things for me that has helped me make such big strides is just the support of my team. I have an amazing group of women on my team who help me in every way possible. I get texts, how can I make your life easier today? I know you've got a lot going on, which is just huge. But we plan together. We take that PLC time to really dig in. We have teammates that work together on lesson plans, and I have full confidence in them that whatever they have for me, I can take. But what the biggest thing is, we have 3 that are blended and 4 that are face-to-face, but no matter what team they are on, we plan for both. So the face-to-face teachers are still helping the blended teachers provide resources and find things in the framework, which is huge. One thing I recommend highly, we use Google Classroom. So we have a shared Google Classroom between the teachers. So that way you can upload documents and ideas in there and then just copy it into your own classroom so you don't have to search all around, and that's been huge. And I know that a lot of teachers don't necessarily have that, so I feel like as a county, if we could come together and find a way to collaborate like this, where we're hearing ideas and where we have some sort of area where we can see, I'm struggling, did you figure this out? I feel like that would be so huge for these teachers, something on eCampus or videos of teachers that are sharing successes or shared drives. I feel like that would be a huge thing. But another reason that I have been able to make these strides is just the support from my school. We have received additional technology. Our school has reached out to others that have been doing the blended successfully and asked, what are your teachers using, what's working, and how can we get those items too? I have multiple monitors, which if teachers don't have this and they are doing this, please get them an extra monitor because it is huge. You need that type of technology. And another thing would be just extended plan time. blended teaching does come at a very high cost with your time personally, so to get additional time to plan has been extremely helpful, and I am so thankful for that opportunity.
Thank you, Jessica. And now, Jindia, what recommendations or best practices do you have for colleagues who feel overwhelmed by the transition to blended learning?
All right, so with me, I have to say that 2020 obviously has not been the year, to say the least, but I have to say that, you know, to all the teachers who are like out there, you know, just, you know, you think that you're failing or anything like that, you have to give yourself grace, because this year was, if anything, if two things you needed this year the most was flexibility and perseverance, because at the end of the day, these kids are looking to you for everything besides education. I spent a lot of hours during the summer to all the PDs that were available to us. I even went to some of them that I didn't even get paid for, but I just wanted to make sure that I got what I needed out of them. And that helped my sanity. That also helped me be more organized. So then, because I knew, I'm like, they're making all these PDs for a purpose and they're preparing for the worst. So let me get myself, you know, vested in this, because I don't want to be lost in the cause. I want to be, you know, prepared. And these were taught by our own teachers, which then that was like a peer-to-peer, and it was so how can I say this, helpful, because it was not just coming from like admin, you know, coming down on us, or, you know, it was a peer-to-peer, like, hey, I did this and it didn't work at first, but maybe you tweak it to your own needs, and then I made it my own. And I knew then, probably by the second to the last week of July, I knew, okay, this is my mode because it's going to work for me. So then I'll be able to, present it to my students. And then again, I teach ESOL, so I have kids who speak Arabic, you know, not only Spanish. I have a kid who speaks Greek, and, you know, it's just all those. So I had to make sure that I chose a modality that would help every single one of my students, whether they were here from, you know, that they just got here from China, and or they've been here for 5-6 years. So that helped me a lot. I mean, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. But I have to say that and I think Corey mentioned this right here, my biggest success with my students has been building that relationship, that bridge between the home and the school. And that's how I have buy-in. These kids, the parents, their families, they know that Ms. Cruz is on the other side, whether it's across the monitor or they're face-to-face, and they know that when they come to my classroom, we get things done. There is not one curriculum, lesson, or standard that you can't teach if you don't have the relationship invested with these students and these families. And that, to me, that's huge. So I'll leave you with this. 2020 has been an avalanche of lemons. And the saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well, I chose to make lemon ice cream. That is the least that my students deserve after all of the drastic changes they have endured in our community. Again, give yourselves a lot of grace and self-compassion, because we need to be nice to ourselves. We tend to be so hard on us because we want to be that next, you know, this and that. It has been a year, but you just have to love yourself and say, okay, it didn't work today, but it might work tomorrow. It might work next week. No teaching method or approach is perfect, but attitude and willingness is everything.
Thank you, Jindia. Dr. Griffin and board members, we'd like to open it up to see if you had any questions for our panelists at this time.
Board members, I can't see you.
You want to go first?
Thank you. Dr. Calderon.
I just can't thank all of you enough from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I wrote down all of your great positive suggestions, and I think to piggyback on what you were saying, Jessica, is, you know, maybe we could as a district come up with some sort of a repository so you can almost plagiarize off of others' success, right? I think that's really flattering that people want to, you know, replicate what you're doing, that they're, you know, we've seen it for years as we walk through schools that sometimes due to the subject matter that you might be teaching, you might be the singleton in that whole school. So you don't have someone, if you're teaching AP Calc 2, you're maybe the only one in that school, so it might be a neat way if we could take the positive out of this lemons avalanche to say maybe this is the time that we as a district make it easier for more collaboration. And we do give you grace, even though it might not feel that way, and we want to make it as flexible as possible. And today, Dr. Griffin and I walk through 2 schools, and we see how hard you're all working, and at the end of the day, we'll make it through it together. But from the bottom of all of our hearts, I just wanted to say thank you for even coming out tonight, above and beyond the call of duty. I know you have a million other things to do, but the more you share of how we can better support you, hopefully it'll make it easier in the long run. So we'll be working on your suggestions.
Member Sanchez.
All right. First of all, thank you so much. I can't say enough about each and every one of you, as well as all of our wonderful faculty members that we have, and all the hard work that you're putting in. You know, as a teacher myself, beg, borrow, and steal ideas was my motto. And, you know, why recreate the wheel if we can all have a part in sharing and giving each other ideas instead of working extra hours and not having time to spend with your family. And I started a few weeks ago when, you know, we had this discussion and everybody was talking, and I started writing ideas down by my bedside table to help me. And everything that you guys are saying is so helpful for your peers, and I'm noticing that a lot of the schools that are doing really well are the ones that are not afraid to ask for assistance from each other, and the principals are allowing the teachers to be a part of the master scheduling, which is extremely crucial, in making sure that you guys have that connection with their home and the family lives, especially with everything going on. And your mental health is extremely important to all of us, as well as our students. And so right now, one of my kids taught me this about having your student, you, as well as anybody, because everybody's going through this, no matter if you have to go to a grocery store and you're wearing a mask or whatever you're doing anywhere. And so anyhow, I think it's just important that we all learn to not be hogs or logs sitting back and hogs taking over, but everybody working collaboratively together and doing as much as we can, and writing a journal of things that may trigger your mind that we can help and work with everybody. So thank you so much.
Member Kraus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Teachers, I want to say thank you. I know this hasn't been easy. We've heard many, many stories. We've also seen success stories as we tour the classrooms. I personally don't think education is ever going to look the same. I think there's always going to be a need for a virtual option. And what we're seeing with some of the data is some of the higher performing students are very successful, but there will always be a need for in-person learning, especially in our math and early math. We're seeing some struggles there. So I am very, very grateful to all of you. And I agree, the more sharing of best practices, the more successful this will evolve, because I see it as our future. I see Dr. Camilleri was back there, and obviously the virtual option with her has grown exponentially. So thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pinnock.
As a parent, I thank you. I get the grade emails at midnight when I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm flooded with those. So I know that you guys put in so much more work outside of your contract time. And I thank you as a parent, as a school board member. You are leading the way for our kids. You're showing our kids that it can be done, and I appreciate it. I don't know that we can ever say it enough, how much we appreciate you. I love and am so thankful that you have stretched outside of your comfort zone to be here and give us this input and this feedback. it is mirroring what we're hearing from teachers all across the district. And I guess my simple ask, which is not simple, is what can we give you to make you more successful? And that's not a question that you can answer tonight. Please go home and think about it and reach out to us and let us know what do you need to make you feel successful? Because in our eyes, you are successful, but sometimes there's a disconnect in the words that are getting to you or the feedback or the support. So if you please would just reach out to us and make sure that we get that feedback. Don't stop tonight. Keep this conversation going because we're only going to get better. And thank you.
I'll finish it with thank you, and I'll also say to you, don't be afraid to ask for help with technology. There may be something simple or not so simple in your classroom that maybe our IT department can help you out. They've gone to many classrooms at board member and Dr. Griffin's request and done things that teachers didn't have control over or brought them equipment that they could use to make it easier because they've been around the county and they see what other people have in their classrooms. So thank you for bringing this team to us
Thank you,
tonight.
Dr. Griffin and board members, and thank you to our 5 teacher panelists.
Thank you.
Don't feel like you need to stay. You can go home and rest. And remember, anything can wait until tomorrow, so you need to take care of yourselves as well. Okay? Thank you.
Before we do public comment, I'd like to ask Ms. Beeman to remind folks about our mask policy and give a couple of folks an opportunity to correct. Thank you. Please do not disrespect. Please do not call out. No, I am in compliance. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, board members. Are you all hearing? Okay.
Not really. A
No?
little louder, please.
Are you hearing? Okay. Yes. Except for very limited exceptions, all persons must wear a mask while on school board property. Pursuant to Policy 8421, all persons are reminded that masks are required while inside the Education Support Center, and persons who refuse to wear a mask may be removed from district property. I'd also remind all of the individuals in the board meeting that the school board has a policy regarding decorum and the appropriate behavior while in the meeting. There's not to be any heckling, yelling out, addressing individually the school board members or any of the employees. The public comment section of the meeting is to provide thoughts on education-related topics, topics on the agenda, and direct those comments to the board as a whole. Thank you.
Ms. Beeman, if we are 6 feet apart, socially distanced, and stationary, we are in compliance with policy to remove our mask.
The policy provides, Chairman,
Thank you.
that socially distanced of 6 feet and an ability to maintain that does allow for the removal of the mask.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Pennock, if you'd read the statement for public comment.
The public input segment of this meeting is provided for the purpose of permitting persons to present specific matters to the board for its consideration and action or referral to the superintendent and his staff. The public input segment of this meeting is not open to presentations of campaign issues by political candidates, matters involving student disciplinary actions, pending employee disciplinary matters, or pending litigation. Each individual member of the public is limited to 3 minutes. A designated group representative may have up to 6 minutes.
Thank you. If the folks in this order would please make their way up to the podium, we'll do 2 at each podium at a time, 6 foot apart, please. Jen Wirrell, Michelle Weiss, Rebecca Sarvi, and Drake Wirtz. Good evening.
Hi. Am I allowed to start now?
Yes, ma'am.
And where's my timer so I know how much time?
Right at this.
Sorry.
When
Okay.
the yellow light comes on, I'll start restart. When the yellow light comes on, you have 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you so. All right, thanks, Jill. I appreciate it. Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Father God, for giving us this moment in time as I ask that we all come to this conversation with a reminder of what really matters, our children. Amen. First, I want to say thank you to all of our teachers and administrators. I so appreciate you, and I think you are all wonderful. I'm here today to implore you to use the science that has been shown to you to make a decision to end the Seminole County Public School indefinite mask mandate. Currently, children are forced to wear a mask regardless of medical issues. The only options you have given our children with medical mask exemptions and the exemptions coming from their primary doctor, are to either go through mask training and isolation. Neither options are a positive mental outcome. These children want to learn in person but are being discriminated against, bullied into being trained to wear a mask, peer pressured, or left at home to isolate. According to a study from the American Journal of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, there are now children and adolescents with higher rates of depression and anxiety resulting from this isolation. Suicide is up 1,000% this year. The mental health, as Abby pointed out earlier, is not visible, but is being completely ignored. COVID-19 now has a vaccine with a 95% success rate, and children under the age of 18 have a 99.97% of recovery. That means that sadly, 0.000003 children have been infected with COVID-19 have passed away. 3 children is too many children in America to die, according to the CDC website. While influenza, whose vaccine on average only has a success rate of 40%, according to recent statistics from the federal government, has killed last year alone 188 children. Yes, 188 children. And remember, that is with a flu shot. We are being forced to live in fear, and someone that would be in education, maybe you would hear a recommendation of instruction. Maybe you would hear, hey, I have something successful. The rate of success, though, is 0.000003%. You would laugh them out of this building. If it changed the entire educational system was purposed for only 3 children in the entire United States would benefit, you would say that was idiotic. Kids go to school every year, day in and day out, as flu seasons come and flu seasons go, and dozens and dozens of children are dying from the flu. Yet we as parents have shouldered the risk of sending our children to school mask-free during flu season. I am asking that you think of the long-term consequences of mask use 7 hours a day to our children, the mental health of our children in Seminole County, which you have been voted in to protect and to represent. And yet, we have now been asked as parents to feel that we are not a part of the decision-making. I pray and demand that you end the unconstitutional mask mandate. Please remember, the cure cannot be worse than the virus. Thank you.
Michelle?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Michelle Weiss. I'm a mother of 2 children who attend school here in Seminole County. Jen just gave a ton of phenomenal facts and information, and they are basically truths. They're not opinion pieces we're reading in the Wall Street Journal. They're not something that the media and the news is slamming down our throats 24/7. That's what I'm going to focus on tonight. Truths and facts, not emotions. Your vote for permanent mask mandate told us you make decisions based on emotions and fear and not facts, not the facts that she just detailed. Being emotionally driven, quite honestly, I feel is why our country is struggling today. It's why you see such anger, young people burning down cities and looting. They are living their lives based on emotions, not facts. And when we confuse these 2 things, we get 2 things. Sloppy decision-making at best and dangerous actions at worst. And we are clearly seeing the danger in the declining mental health of our children, including mine, and their constitutional rights being taken away. Since school started, my daughter was one of the unfortunate students who was quarantined. Immediately took her for 2 tests, both were negative, and she was so excited when she found out because she thought she could go back to school. And I had a real fun time trying to explain to her, you don't have COVID, but you're not going back. Through tears and screaming, she yelled about how stupid it was and unfair it was and that none of it makes sense. Because in our home, we teach children facts. We calculate often how many people in America have the virus and have died of the virus. Because of that, my children are not fearful. They know that knowledge is power. And by the way, the Americans today with COVID, 0.034%, and the people today that have died having the virus, notice I didn't say of the virus, is 0.0007%. So in light of these facts, my children and I have many concerns about them being forced to wear a mask. Yet, Mr. Griffin, you were quoted as saying, "I've interacted with many parents. I've had zero concerns expressed to me." I wasn't asked. My friends weren't asked. And that was a kick in the gut to a lot of people that are not able to be here today, that have taken the time to write and to email to express their concerns. I've been told that if I don't want my children to wear a mask, that I should keep them at home. But quite frankly, it's the exact opposite. If you don't want your kids to go to school because you think they're going to get COVID, keep them at home. Agoraphobia is the fear of going outside. Scared people don't go outside. And when they do, they don't make everyone else change their lives so that they could reduce their own fear. So when you vote next, vote on facts. Show us you believe that truth matters, because I don't know what kind of generation we're going to be raising when we tell them to rely solely on how they feel. If you don't, we're not going to go away. We'll continue to fight, we'll write, we'll call, and we will remember your vote when it's time to give ours. And those are facts.
Rebecca.
My name is Rebecca Sarwi. I'm a mother of 2 elementary school children, and I am also a registered nurse. I come here today to speak to you truth, and while it may sound firm, it is from a place of love. The truth is that parents and parents alone are the decision makers for their children and choices affecting their health. The CDC, the health department, and the government do not know our children, and they do not make decisions for our children. The roles of these entities are to make a recommendation. It is inappropriate to cherry pick that information and turn a recommendation into a mandatory mandate for all. The only person to make the final health decision for a child is their parent. Hear me out. We are for mask choice. I am deeply concerned a CDC recommendation was turned into a mandatory policy. With that kind of rationale, it seems the sky is the limit with what can be made mandatory in order for our children to attend school. The CDC is not the gold standard for health and wellness in which we must acquiesce in order to receive a public education, held hostage until we do so. And I will call out the logical fallacy of that rationale. How we protect our own health is up to us. This is separate from and not a prerequisite for being worthy enough to come to school. The truth is, school board, you are not liable if someone gets sick at school. That is too big a burden to bear. So please unburden yourself. We must stop looking at people as if they are bioweapons, unworthy to breathe unrestricted. Life is a series of risks. Everyone accepts their own level of risk they are comfortable with. For instance, even though 1.35 million die in automobile accidents each year, you all chose to drive your cars here today. Going to a public place comes with the risk of possibly getting a virus. Going to a public school is a risk to that also. So each person must decide for themselves if that's a risk they are comfortable with or not. If they are not comfortable with that risk, then that is the population that staying home is appropriate for. School board, I know you're in your position because you love and care about children. And the truth is, you do have a vulnerable population to protect. And I'm not talking about people vulnerable to a virus. I'm talking about our children. Our children are vulnerable, and they're vulnerable to overbearing, repressive, and coercive authority. The children have been surprisingly compliant with the masking in school. Some would call this a successful policy or a public health win, but when I see this, I am reminded how easily children do as they're told and want to please adults and follow the rules. They have been unfairly had the burden of others' health placed on their shoulders, being told to mask for others, and that others' health is in their hands. Is it the school board's responsibility to keep a healthy learning environment? Yes. Is it appropriate to transfer that responsibility to the children? No. This is an inappropriate burden to place on our children. They have not been rebellious or protested, and this is a painful reminder to me how easy children are taken advantage of by authority, how easily they are kidnapped, abused, or human trafficked. Children are powerless to authority over them, and seeing children masked at school reminds me of their vulnerability and lights a fire under me to protect them and stand up to mandates like these in their defense. We are loving parents who will tirelessly advocate for our children, especially for the basic right to breathe fresh air. And the truth is, school is not the appropriate place to mandate health choices meant to be decided between the family and trusted care providers. Children still have the right to their education without the red tape of complying with any whim of the CDC. I'm asking for you to immediately rescind the masking mandate in the school tonight. We will not be going away, and we will not stop advocating for our children. Thank you.
So Drake, followed by Abraham Lopez, Alicia Peacock, Amanda Hutwalker. Good evening.
Good evening, school board. Superintendent Walt Griffin, thank you for having us here this evening. I appreciate the time very much. I'm going to get right into it. I thank you for the positions that you're in and for the service that you're doing to our community. I pray for each and every single one of you by name every morning. As a man of faith, I am called to pray for leaders and those in authority that we may lead quiet and peaceable lives. But as a concerned father of three, our children are not living peaceable lives at the moment. Our kids in our county, our beautiful county of Seminole, they're not being harmed by the virus, but they're being harmed by the reaction to the virus. The fear that has been created by the school board voting for a mandatory mask mandate has caused way more damage than the virus itself. Across the nation, studies have shown that anxiety, bedwetting, suicide, and depression have rose to insurmountable numbers. And that's caused by the fear that we've placed across our nation by forcing masks upon our children. I'm calling on you to take the politics of COVID out of our schools. Children are at incredibly low risk of this virus. From the CDC statistics, as has been said earlier, for people less than 20 years old, they have a 99.997% of surviving this virus. The COVID deaths in the U.S. for children, as it was stated earlier, 3. Compare that to auto accidents. Just this year already, there's been over 675 traffic-related deaths of children. Drownings of children less than 5 years old have been over 350. Our children have a greater risk of fatalities while driving to school or drowning in the pool during the summer. And let me restate, each and every single life is precious, born and unborn, and they are all created in the image of God. 3 is way too many, but there's no reason to fearmonger our children. The influenza last year killed over 188. That is at a far greater risk than COVID-19. Have we ever required the masking of healthy children during flu season? We have not. We must stop unnecessarily scaring our children. Kids are not super spreaders. That is a myth, and there's little to no evidence of that fact. Earlier this year, one of the members of this board, Abby Sanchez, received a valuable endorsement from then Longwood Mayor Matt Morgan, who is now City Commissioner. Matt Morgan and his beautiful wife, Larissa, they're parents to a child who's nonverbal autistic. His name is Jackson. He, like hundreds and hundreds of kids in our county, are denied medical exemptions from wearing masks. I'm asking you to vote for the facts. I'm asking you to rescind your vote. And I'm asking you for Seminole County to set the standard in the Orlando area of letting our kids be kids.
Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman.
Abraham Lopez.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
If we could, Madam Chairman, I would like to request a recess. It is against school board policy for you all to continue to disrupt the school board meeting, and I'd like to have an opportunity to provide that policy to you all and respectfully request that you comply with the decorum requirements of the board. It is unlawful to disrupt a school board meeting. And so I want to provide that opportunity for you, to give you that information, and to provide you with a warning so that we can continue to have this meeting and you all have your opportunity to provide the information that you want to provide to the board in an appropriate manner.
Are you saying that clapping your hands is illegal?
Would you like 5 minutes? Is that
Yes.
sufficient? Thank you. I'd call a 5-minute recess. Please don't venture too far. Abraham Lopez, please. Alicia Peacock, Amanda Hutwelker, and then Emery Leahy, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Good evening.
Board. My heart is broken in 1,000 pieces tonight. I come as a father. I have 3 kids in the system. My wife would be here as well if she could have gotten out of work a little bit earlier. I think at some point or another, I voted for most of you guys on this dais. And I did so believing that you guys believed in limited government. I did so believing that you guys recognize that our rights come from God and that your chief role, as we heard tonight when you guys were sworn in, is to defend Florida's Constitution and the Constitution of the United States of America and to defend our rights and provide our children with a fair, quality, decent, good education to support our teachers, our professionals, and staff members. I will not question your love and dedication to our children. Absolutely not. I know you guys love my kids. I know you guys care for my children. I know you care for Seminole County Public Schools, including you, Dr. Griffith. We've had numerous conversations with all of you guys. You guys assured me, and we've had numerous conversations, I think with everybody, that you were going to base your decisions based on facts, based on science. And the truth of the matter is COVID-19 has been politicized, and I'm tired of it. I am tired of it. I am disgusted of it, all right? The science has been politicized. The advice from certain doctors has been politicized. I know you're married to a physician as well. I have physicians, my children's doctors, telling me they're scared to sign a notice or an excuse because they feel they're going to lose their job because they're employed by a major practice. It's not a private or a family-owned practice. Where are we going as a country? This is scary. This is scary, and I'm here just to pour my heart, and I believe you guys are going to listen and do the right thing, because, I moved from Jersey, right, because I believe that Florida and Seminole County was the best place to raise my children, the best place to raise my family, that you guys believed in limited government, and what I'm seeing now, it freaks me out. It freaks my kids out. Dad, why do I have to stand before a gun pointed at me to get my temperature every day? Why do I have to keep using my face? Dad, do you know what the kids do with the face masks in my class? It's just unscientific what we're doing. And we told you all before the school year started, I said it, there will not be any super spreader events in Seminole County Public Schools because the science says it does not happen. Now, mind you, in March, we were at a place where it was fluid. The situation was fluid. I was down for the 15-day shutdown. I was down for the 30-day shutdown. After the 30-day, I was kind of like, hold on, this is not smelling right. Right? There's a problem. And the truth of the matter is there is an element in our country that is taking advantage of this situation to create this new reset for whatever reason. I want no part of it, and I want Seminole County Public Schools to have no part of it. My kids have a right to a quality and decent education free from these face masks all day. We have no scientific evidence as far as what are the long-term psychological damage of these kids wearing these face masks day in and day out. And I'm asking you tonight to do what I know you guys believe is right in your hearts. I know it. These mandates are wrong. We are not against face masks. I am not against face masks. I walk in a business, there's a sign that says put a face mask on. I put it on. And if I don't like it, it's my job to go to a different business, okay? But now when it comes to the public schools, I elected all of you guys to respect my rights to make medical decisions for my family. At times, there could be an instance where I feel we should cover up our children. I should cover myself up due to the
Please
family
wrap it up.
dynamic.
Time, so please finish your thought, your sentence.
My thought with this. I ask you all, we just need 3 votes. I ask you all tonight, someone motion and say, we're going to end the mandate. Let families make the best decision according to their personal situations in their homes. I beg you, I ask you, let's do it. Let's make news for the right reason in Seminole County. Please make the right decision.
Thank you.
End the politicization of COVID-19 in Seminole County. Thank you. Please consider these words.
Thank you.
Please, please, please.
Ms. Peacock? Good evening.
Hi. Ready? My name is Amanda Hutwelker, and I'm here tonight as a concerned parent. This school board has overreached your authority. You've implemented one of the most aggressive mask policies in the state, including your decision to withhold a true medical exemption for students with disabilities. You have denied the rights of parents, disregarded the recommendations of our pediatricians, and implemented a one-size-fits-all mask mandate, driving students with disabilities out of the public school system. Dr. Griffin, you reported to the media that you received 0 complaints from parents on your mask policy, and that is, yeah, please do.
Evening was how many students, parents, and teachers have approached me at school when I'm visiting schools about masks, and how many have we asked to leave the board meeting? And my answer to that was 0, just to get your facts straight.
Okay. Well, and we're not allowed in the school, so I don't know how I'd be able to voice my concern. When
That was just a snippet of a news clip. You should know better.
Then I've been in communication with all of you for months about my son's inability to wear a mask due to his diagnosed sensory processing disorder. And you assured me in writing that medical exemptions would be available. On July 1st, you wrote, quote, "I'm certain there will be a medical exemption. Rest assured, we want to do the right thing for all children." However, 6 days before school started, you revoked that medical exemption option. The week before school started, I was blindsided by a call from a county nurse stating that medical exemptions are not available. Instead, she was calling for my consent for a 4-week mask training program. This desensitization program would be administered by a teacher, not by my son's highly trained, certified pediatric occupational therapist. The nurse explained that if my son failed this mask training program, then he would be granted a face shield, have to sit behind plexiglass at his desk, not be able to participate in group activities, and not be allowed to come within 6 feet of his friends or his teacher. He would be socially isolated, stuck in a corner, and made to feel like an outcast. Imagine that for your kindergarten child with a developmental disability. You failed my son. The nurse tried to relieve my fears by saying, "Don't worry, we're not going to kick him out the first week," and peer pressure works well in situations like this. Thankfully for my son, we had the means to withdraw him from his public school immediately and enroll him in a private school where masks are optional, children with special needs are treated with dignity, and parental rights are respected. The school board has disregarded the rights of parents to make medical decisions for our children, and even worse, you turned your back on students with disabilities. You've made access to public education contingent on full and complete mask compliance without exception. Parents have had enough. We will defend our parental rights and fight for what's best for the health and safety of our children, both physically and emotionally. You need to rescind your mask mandate immediately. We are unifying, we're coordinating our efforts, and we will fight for our children.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I have 4 children in my household that go to Seminole County schools. We love our school, we love our teachers, and we love everything that they are doing to make this a successful year. I do not want my kids wearing masks in school 30 hours per week indefinitely. The school board has not provided clear benchmarks or a timeline for when we can expect the mandate to be lifted. We deserve transparency and demand better communication from the school board. There is overwhelming scientific evidence that children, especially under 14 years old, are far less likely to have symptoms of COVID-19 and even less likely to spread the virus than a teenager or an adult. However, you implemented a one-size-fits-all mask mandate, expecting a 5-year-old kindergarten student to be held to the same 7-hour-per-day mask-wearing standard as an 18-year-old high school student. Your mask mandate does not follow the science and is damaging our children physically and emotionally. The science is clear about who is at most risk of having severe symptoms of COVID-19, and it is not school-aged children. School-aged children have a 99.997% survival rate, and in fact, it is also not teachers in Florida either. The average age of a teacher in Florida is 43.7 years old, so nearly all teachers in Florida have anywhere from a 99.6 to 99.98% survival rate from COVID-19. It is well documented that the median age of a COVID-19 death is 83 years old. Despite the science, the school board has disregarded the rights of parents to make medical decisions for their children. You have made access to public education contingent on full and complete mask compliance. You have ignored the science and overreached your authority. I have heard story after story from desperate parents about the negative effects on their children from wearing a mask all day. Complaints range from feelings of isolation and depression to trouble breathing, an inability to concentrate, and even exhibiting symptoms of OCD and anxiety. Mask wearing should be a school board recommendation. Share with parents that the science that is driving your mask policy. If the science is clear and compelling, then I'm sure parents will comply. Your current policy of forced compliance with zero transparency is alienating parents and destroying our trust in your decision-making ability. Parents have had enough. We will defend our parental rights and fight for what is best for the health and safety of our children, both physically and emotionally. I urge you to make mask wearing in Seminole County schools optional starting in Q3. Parents are unifying. We are coordinating our efforts, and we will fight for our children.
Thank you.
My name is Lacey Leahy, and this is my daughter Emery. She's in 5th grade, and she wanted to represent our family.
Hello, my name is Emery. I'm a 5th grader in Seminole County. I oppose the use of face masks in our elementary schools for the following reasons. My first reason is that kids cannot leave the mask alone and are constantly messing with them. Me and many other students might agree that we cannot breathe in the face mask. Kids are also off task and cannot pay attention to their schoolwork. There are a lot of kids in my class that have the same idea. Also, younger kids suck and bite on the face masks, like my younger sister who is 5 years old. She comes home every day with a bitten mask with a hole. Also, while they are stuck on the mask, the germs get back into their mouth, which defeats the purpose of the face masks. Students who wear gaiters inappropriately touch and misuse the gaiter, like wrapping the back part of the gaiter over their head. The students that are disabled or have medical problems that do not have the ability to wear a mask must either sit in the corner of the classroom and not be able to participate in fun educational activities or not be able to come to school at all. The reason I know this is because I have a 5-year-old cousin that has problems, and nurses said he could not wear a mask because he has sensitivity problems. He did not want to sit in the corner, so he was put into private school. Also, if you all have noticed, there are holes on the sides of your mask which spread the germs. Also, I researched that if a mask becomes wet, it is more likely to spread germs. I know that pretty much everyone agrees that it is hard to hear and communicate with a mask on. Also, kids like me are less likely to catch the virus because we have less ACE2, which gives children less dangerous symptoms of the virus. Also, students that has asthma could have serious inflammatory response to the mask. When they don't have a mask on, they need an inhaler to breathe. So with a mask on, it makes their medical problem worse. I would like to state that if you and your parents like to proceed wearing a mask, that should be allowed. But if you and your parents think that you should not want to wear a mask, that is your decision. Everyone should have a right to have their own opinion to wear or not wear a mask. Also, you should not force anyone to believe in your own opinion. Thank you.
Jennifer Devine, Dan Smith, Brittany Walker, Julia Roberts.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm sorry. Is it my turn?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
No, your
skipping.
turn.
First, I'm Jennifer Devine, I teach at Winter Springs High School. First, I wanted to thank Dr. Griffin for reaching out to the teachers last week and for having meetings with each of us to really listen to our concerns and listen to solutions that we had. That meant a lot, and it told your teachers that you truly are listening to us. And for you, Dr. Griffin, we really do appreciate that. I didn't know this panel was happening tonight. I really thought that was neat. I wish that there was more variety on it, because a lot of the solutions that were given were not solutions that were feasible for elective singleton teachers. And if you don't know what a singleton teacher is, because I know you all do, but I'm not sure if everyone in the audience does, it's a teacher that's the only teacher in their school for that particular subject. So we teach often different subjects each period, and there is no way for us to really get relief or the type of help that was provided today. Also, science is a big glaring, for me, kind of issue. If you're doing dissection and you're teaching a hybrid class, you don't want to tell the kid at home to go get fluffy. You know, that's not, they're going to have to do some kind of virtual lab that is completely different, or they're just going to have to watch and they miss that hands-on experience because the teacher doesn't have time to run that virtual dissection lab. If that's, I don't even know if that's a thing, but if it is a thing. So there are ways where hybrid doesn't work for all classes, and I feel that moving forward, we really need to go to a model where schools are empowered and the district 100% supports teachers not offering some classes connect, because they just don't work for some classes, and other classes going to a more pure model. Pure hybrid, or not pure hybrid, I'm sorry, not hybrid, pure connect or pure face-to-face. That really is what is needed. Another issue I wanted to bring up, I spoke to a couple elementary school teachers this week that had a lot of their students come up to them and tell them about their travel plans for Thanksgiving break. And these teachers were really concerned. One kid is flying to Kentucky, and one other kid is flying to Wisconsin over the Thanksgiving break, and these teachers are concerned that they're going to pick up something. Because I flew Delta, and I feel super duper safe, but my brother flew a different airline where they packed that thing out with every seat. So we don't know how these kids are flying. And if they come back, by the time they do test positive, and I will tell you that kids do test positive because I have been quarantined because I was 6 feet with the kid that was positive, which ruined my students and my time trying to teach, right? Then they're going to ruin their entire Christmas or Hanukkah or winter break. And they're not going to be able to see their family members and their loved ones because they were exposed to a positive student because of those Thanksgiving Day travels. Now, I know in the spring, I believe, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, that you asked students that traveled to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. Or maybe it was if they went on a cruise, they had to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And on behalf of teachers that have this fear, I would request that you implement that policy now. If you've been on a crowded plane and you just don't know, could you please self-quarantine for your teachers? I know that they would appreciate it. And finally, I saw on the news that there was advocacy by the district to eliminate school grades. That's awesome. Yes, I support that. I love that. Can you advocate that same way for your teachers in terms of asking DeSantis to fund what he would like us to do? If you're splitting our students from face-to-face to virtual, you are splitting them in half. You need more teachers. Will the classrooms be smaller? Yes, if you provide more teachers. But if you don't, you're going to stack all of the students and the teachers that are there. So you need more teachers in order to implement this model. Or maybe so there can be a Theater Connect class or a special science class. You need a teacher that exclusively does that. So can you please advocate for us to get more money and funds to do what we need to do?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dan Smith.
My name is Dan Smith. I am a teacher in Seminole County Public Schools. I am currently the president of the Seminole Education Association. I'm going to scuttle the 2 points I was going to address, as they don't really carry as much meaning. I can just email those to you and send you what I was going to state earlier anyway. But I do want to address the mask policy as it is current. As in all areas of safety and the health and welfare of the children, we understand that among the many things you guys do, and people who might not be familiar with how a school board works, it's a little bit more than reading a story to the children and getting your picture taken. And I'm guessing most people do know that, but maybe they don't. And you are given the task of weighing conflicting issues sometimes. And in this case, we've got personal freedom versus public safety. And it's an impossible decision, really, for you guys to take a look at, because you're going to have numerous people upset one way or the other. I can tell you, and I think you know this, the teachers are happy with the mask decision, and want to speak on. Now, there are certain things that we've had before. Anytime there's a potential threat, it hasn't really become an issue. Nobody would challenge what you've done with gun safety, what you've done to keep people safe. Nobody would challenge you regarding any of the storm issues or things that we have. we don't think about it, just kind of like turning on the faucet. We know and hope that you're going to make the right decision in those things, and you have. Seminole County has been generally a pretty safe thing. So I'd spoken to some of the people outside before we came in. I'm always interested in hearing it. I'm a speech, debate teacher. I just like hearing point counterpoint. And I can tell you as a person, as president of the Teachers Association, certainly I hope you're going to continue to enforce the mask. As an individual, I wanted to hear, I did want to hear the personal freedom bit. Now, I think there's more speakers still willing to speak, but I just haven't been convinced from a personal freedom versus the public safety. And it just goes right back to just having the school board of Seminole County make those decisions. And we hope, and of course we pray, that you will make the right decision based on that. I know you don't make these lightly, and as I said before, and I was jokingly about getting your picture taken with the children, we know that you guys do have a lot of meets, and you do take every single one of these things very seriously for the people that are working there. So thank you for listening. I will send you the other stuff in there, and we and the teachers have confidence in the decision you make for what you're going to do with the safety of the public. Thank you very much.
Brittany Walker, Julia Roberts, Sarah Mursky.
Hi, I'm Brittany Walker. Many of you probably know why I'm here. I'm here with a rather large group of other parents who are very concerned and very upset about what's going on in the Seminole County public school system. I was born and raised here. I have lived in Seminole County my whole life. I graduated from Lake Mary High School. And to see what is happening this year in our school system as a parent now, it's disturbing. And what else is disturbing is the fact that I sit in this school board meeting and see all of you just love when people tell you how great you are, but the second someone holds you accountable for your decisions, you don't want to hear that anymore. So I just want to remind you that as an elected government official, your job is to listen to the people. And I am heavily involved in this community, and I listen to the people, and I know that you all are not doing that based on your decisions. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what the agenda is, but something's off. Something's wrong here. And I'm asking all of you to do the right thing that you were sworn in office to do. Represent the people, represent your community, ask what they want, and actually listen to them. The reason that we're so fueled with emotion and passion right now is because we are so fed up. We have reached out to you all so many times, and most of the time we're completely ignored. And we've been very nice, we've been very professional and respectful, but at this point, we have to be loud. We have to make noise because you guys aren't listening to the people, and it's a big problem. And here's the thing. I voted for almost all of you at some point over the last, 6 to 8 years, and I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed because, Abby, like Matt Morgan is a good friend of mine, and I just want to see someone take the leadership role on the school board and stand up for the right thing, because right now I feel like you all are just kind of going in the same direction and just following, whoever's leading. But it's not any of you, and you guys were elected to be leaders, and I really am just asking you to step up and be leaders and do the right thing for your community. Thank you.
Evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to address
Julia?
you today. Yes.
Okay.
My name is Julia Roberts, the Castleberry version, not the Hollywood version. Mother of 3 little boys and resident of Seminole County. I am asking you today to, when considering the mask mandate in our public schools, to please consider the long-term negative social effects mask wearing will have on our precious children. In their formative and impressionable years, they are not learning the necessary nonverbal cues required to develop emotional intelligence, because most nonverbal cues are hidden behind their masks. Beyond that, the only study done on the effectiveness of cloth masks, you can see the BMJ Open Access Journal report by McIntyre. They studied the effectiveness of cloth masks as an alternative to viral masks for healthcare workers. They concluded that cloth masks were entirely inadequate protection against viruses and recommended that in the case of shortages of viral masks that they be sanitized and reused instead of using cloth masks. Additionally, there are studies proving that masks, the kind that we're wearing, harbor and grow bacteria and viruses and recirculate them back to the wearer. Students are wearing these masks for 8 hours a day. They're coughing in them, sneezing in them. They fall on the floor, they go back on their face. It's a petri dish for viruses and bacteria. They're more than just ineffective, they're harmful. Even the World Health Organization recommends that masks only be worn by those that are sick, not those that are healthy. We are asking that mask mandates be removed. We are not asking that mask mandates be removed solely based on the principle of personal freedom. We are asking that they be removed because they aren't effective and because they cause harm. Physiological and physical harm. These mask mandates are not based on all of the facts. I believe they are mostly based in fear. It is my hope that fear will not win today. Please end the mask mandates in our public schools.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Mirsky, and like others have mentioned, my husband and I moved here from Chicago to Seminole County because we researched Seminole County schools, and so far my kids have been getting an excellent education in Seminole County. And I want to thank the board for giving Seminole County parents 4 options when school started this fall. I was very appreciative of it as a parent. I do have 2 kids in Seminole County schools, as I have mentioned. And when I was notified about kids going back to school and considering all my options as a parent, I read what the mask requirements were for my children because I was concerned about that, as well as being concerned about the virus and for everybody's health and safety. Back then, it was clearly communicated that they only had to wear masks during transportation times or transitioning times. But while sitting at their desks, they could take off their mask, they could take it off at recess during PE. And as a mom, I was fine with that. So I was fine with complying with that. Then it seems that during the second week of school, my daughter told me she couldn't take her mask off at her desk. I would have multiple conversations with my daughter on a daily basis about when she had to wear her mask, and it didn't line up with what I was told by Seminole County Public Schools. Soon after the second week of school, my daughter got nosebleeds and my son got a yellow scaly rash on his nose and soon developed bronchitis. My son joined track and has to run a 6-minute, 40-second mile with a mask on outside. Why? Why a bait and switch? Apparently, the teachers were told the same thing at first about the masks, and the rules switched on them as well. I would like to understand the reason why stricter mask wearing is being implemented and the peer-reviewed cited science behind it. I, too, am a student. I went back to college later on in life, and with every single paper I write, I have to provide research-cited sources. And I would only expect the same from the Board of Education, Seminole County Public School Boards, and from the teachers as well. Also, why are you sending people to the classrooms to make sure kids are wearing a mask at their desks? Especially when a child has to wear a germ-infected mask for 6 to 8 hours a day, and that wasn't the original plan on what parents and educators were told and sold on to go back to a brick and mortar school. I see the physical and psychological effects on my children and worry about the long-term physical and psychological effects on them. What I am asking the Seminole County Public School Board is to reconsider their mask mandates and allow kids, parents, and teachers to decide for themselves. If you won't give parents, kids, and educators a choice in wearing a mask, then go back to the original plan that you told us in July. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Mr. Godrow, could you come up, please, and address athletics and wearing masks?
As for our athletic teams, they do not wear a mask when they are participating in their practices. If they are not actively practicing, then they do put a mask on while they're on the sideline. I think she mentioned middle school, but Ms. Faison would probably tell you they adopted the same rules for middle school that we are currently using for high school.
Okay, so her student that's running track should not have to wear a mask while
Not
running
while they're
track.
participating in track, that's correct.
There you go. What school? Markham Woods? Okay. Thank you. So, Ms. Faison, can you address that? Thank you. Sophia Smith? Thank you, Mr. Godrow. Julia Quint? Did we miss anyone? There were a couple of speakers that went out of order. What's your name, sir?
Sir, we received your speaker form. It was not filled out. If you'd like to complete your speaker form, we would entertain your comments.
Sophia? With your mask. With your mask on, please. Thank you. Sophia?
Okay, great.
Hi.
Should I wait for the light or just go ahead? Great. I'm Sophia Smith. Hi. I'm a 2011 Lyman High School graduate, but I think a little more relevant today. I'm the daughter of a Seminole County public school teacher. I am aware that there have been points of contention between the school board and teachers in general. While a lot of them have really driven me, made me feel passionately, none has actually driven me to speak before this one, talking about the mask mandate. And actually, despite the points of contention in the past, I want to take this time to thank you guys. I really, really appreciate what's happening right now with masks in schools. I want to thank you for staying aware of the bigger picture, for recognizing that schools are much more than their students, that the faculty and staff deserve a safe workplace, especially right now when we are just coming out of a time where teachers are being, praised beyond all belief when all the schools were locked down and parents are tweeting, oh, teachers should get paid $1 million a day. Then the second students end up back in school, we kind of go back to this same generalized attitude towards teachers and the kind of health and safety they should expect in their workplace. So I appreciate you guys not going down that road and for so far enforcing the mask mandate. And thank you for considering as well the immunocompromised employees and especially students who have no other option for their education, and that by maintaining these healthy and clean classrooms, you're keeping the chance of transmission as low as possible. But kind of foremost, I want to thank you for committing to the most basic function of a school, a place where students can learn, because I understand there's really undue stress on everyone in education right now, students to school board, bottom up. Since you guys are kind of able to mitigate this one stressor, this chance of transmission, this, chance that something really awful will happen to me just by showing up to perform my job, I really appreciate you guys mitigating that by keeping the mask mandate, by implementing it in the first place, and by that same merit, I really hope to see it continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia.
My name is Julia, but I don't have as cool a last name as the last one, Julia Roberts. So thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Julia Quint. I live in Seminole County, and I have 4 young sons. 2 of who should be at Woodlands Elementary this year in 2nd grade and kindergarten. Instead, they are home with me, and we have embarked on a new journey of homeschooling. Why? The choice rests entirely on the decision by the school board to mandate masks during school all day long. We are in unprecedented times when science and information are some of our most important commodities, and yet everywhere we turn, only one side of the story is being told. Only one side of the science is being shown. For every study there is about a mask protecting others, there is a different study focused on the risks and detrimental health effects of masks. Yet nobody is talking about that study. Nobody is taking those studies about risks into consideration. After the last school board meeting, I heard the superintendent publicly state that he had not heard any negativity about the mask mandate. And I quote, "I've interacted with many parents. I've had zero concerns expressed to me. I think people realize that not only are the students and adults protecting themselves, but they're protecting others," Griffin said. Now, I just heard a few minutes ago, I heard him address Amanda Hutwelker and say that his comments were taken out of context, that only one side of his story was being told. I find that ironic, as I am one of many parents who have expressed concerns and ultimately withdrew my children based on mask policies voted in by the Seminole County School Board. I am fortunate that my family was in a position to do this. There is science on both sides of this debate, and it seems the school board is not acknowledging this. You are making decisions on public policy using one side of the science and one side of the story. It seems there is zero consideration for the long-term physical and psychological effects on our kids, and that's not fair to anybody, most importantly, our children. Masks are a medical device, and with medical devices come risks, whether the school board wants to acknowledge that or not. And where there is risk, there must be choice. And when and where there is finally choice, children will thrive. And until Seminole County reverses their mandatory mask mandate, I will keep my children far away from your public schools so they can continue to thrive. Thank you for your time.
Eric Soto.
Is this a monologue or a dialogue?
This is public input.
Okay, so you don't speak back to me. Well, that's a bummer. Well, I would like to talk about the Gifted program and how that was supposed to be funny, I guess, but it wasn't. All right, so today I'd like to talk about, I have no intention of coming and speaking about anything, but as I approached the building, I was told that I had to wear a mask to enter because it was a policy. Your policy, I assume. And I said, well, that's strange. What's going to happen if I decide not to wear a mask? And I said, well, we'll stop you. And I said, well, I don't think you're really going to stop me from going in. And one of the sheriffs said, well, I will stop you. You need to go outside with the other people because you don't want to wear a mask. And I said, wow, we have 2 classes of citizens in Seminole County. How sad is that, that they cannot come in here and voice their opinion? And how ridiculous is it that I can stand at the podium, I can talk as loudly as I want, I can spit all over the place, not like physically spit, but you know, spittle comes out of your mouth, and it's okay. And nobody's afraid of it. Magically, nothing's going to happen to anybody. Every time I go to Lowe's, I ask the person there, how many of your coworkers have gotten COVID? And I've been going to Lowe's this whole entire time. I was wearing a mask initially because I have an 87-year-old father who is high risk. Lo and behold, it found him at his house, and he got COVID and was hospitalized for 3 days and recovered. I was terrified of this thing. And I have probably read, if I had to put a number on it, 100, 150 hours about this specific topic. I know that COVID-19 isn't actually the virus that's attacking us. I know that it's SARS-CoV-2. Nobody likes to talk about that. Nobody likes to talk about how the lady who is the closest to coming up with a cure has been studying it for years because it's happened in the Middle East, and that's why she was able to get it to the get it to, I don't mind help, get it to the public so quickly is because they have been studying a very similar disease for such a long time, which is phenomenal. I watched I Am Legend. Have you guys seen I Am Legend? Terrifying. It's terrifying, and I don't even like horror movies. But the scariest part was after it when they talked about how pandemics are real and how pandemics can wipe out our entire civilization. It hasn't happened. We're all still here. Sadly, there are those that are not. But people die every single day. I think I'm in a unique situation. I'm the father of 6, 4 of which are in the schools. And I feel lied to, just like that nice lady, who we had a vote, you heard our voices, we said what we wanted, and then you changed your minds. We didn't change ours. And that is sad. I understand we follow facts, but emotions play in the decisions that we make. And so now I'm to the point where I say, do I still send my kids to school? I feel like I have no choice because my wife is a mother of 6. And when she was doing the teacher's jobs of educating the children, when this thing first happened, she got severely depressed. And she felt like she couldn't cope anymore. So those are my choices. Wear a mask, or I guess I have another choice. I didn't know these people existed. So I could come and join with these people. We can hire your best teachers, take them away from you, and use our money and our resources to create a system that matches our ideals. Thank you so much for your time. I guess I'm going to be coming back. I got to pay attention to what's going on.
So, Madam Clerk, I know you probably have some comments to read, but I also want to ask you, did we not make provisions if someone wished to provide comments tonight without wearing a mask in this building?
I'm sorry.
So if someone came in and wanted to make comments and not wear a mask, could they have access to do that in this building?
So we held room 108 for those folks who came to the building with a medical note, like a medical exemption per our policy.
Okay.
And they could have made their comments from room 108. We had a handheld microphone, but we had no such people attend.
Okay.
So we had no one in room 108.
Thank you. So you have comments you'd like to read?
I do.
Thank you.
These comments were submitted via email to be read into the record because these folks could not be here this evening. And so the first comment comes from Dr. David Cavallari, and he writes, I believe it is in the best interests of the public health for our citizenry to continue to require the use of masks for all of our residents. There is absolutely no credible science to demonstrate that masks are not any effective barrier to the transmission of COVID-19. If anything, due to pre-existing conditions both young and old experience in our country, in our county, we are collectively more susceptible to opportunistic infections and viruses, including COVID-19. Science has demonstrably shown that masks help save lives, and any other argument is foolhardily and entirely irresponsible. Each and every one of our citizens, both young and old, need to help to slow down the spread of COVID-19. The next comment comes from Janice Robertson from Oviedo. Dr. Cavallari is from Winter Park. Janice Robertson writes, Dear Seminole County School Board members, I implore you all to keep the mandatory mask requirements in place in our Seminole County public schools. The country is on the brink of the largest increase in COVID-19 cases since the beginning of the pandemic, and now it is time to double down on all of our measures to stop the threat of the virus spread. Our teachers and students deserve to work and learn in the safest environment we can provide. Mask wearing is a small price to pay to protect lives. Seminole County overall has done a good job keeping our numbers low due to the widespread wearing of face masks. Please keep the face mask mandate in place so that SCPS can be seen as an example for all school districts to follow. Sincerely, Janice Robertson. The next comment comes from Rebecca Newman, who is from Oviedo. I have to put the timer on this one because I'm not quite sure I'm going to squeeze all this into 3 minutes. I'm going to try really hard. Good evening, school board members. First, let me applaud you for doing the best to keep children, teachers, staff, and then ultimately the families that come home to safe during this pandemic. Somehow, despite every bit of science supporting it, mask wearing has become politicized, even by our own governor and State Board of Education chief. And now it has been brought to my attention that a small fringe group, some of whom without children even attending Seminole County Public Schools, is asking you to rescind the board's mask mandate. Ignore them. Their effort is not based on legitimate science, nor do they speak to protect the greater public and school community of teachers, staff, children, parents, and grandparents from potential infection of the deadly COVID-19 virus, which is on the rise in Seminole County, Florida, and across our nation. Science has proven that masks work. I can recite article after article and expert after expert, legitimate experts who advocate for mask wearing. Organizations from the New England Journal of Medicine to the Mayo Clinic to the CDC argue that mask wearing saves lives. In fact, the American Medical Association and its more than 240,000 medical professionals argue that, quote, public masking during COVID-19 pandemic is one of the most effective measures we can take to contain the spread of the virus. The American Medical Association strongly advocates for coronavirus masking in public places. And please do not interrupt me. Please do not interrupt me. Clearly, masks are keeping children and teachers safe and permitting them to be in school at all times. Other area of businesses such as Disney World and Universal Studios to Publix and the YMCA to other area school districts see the logic and safety in continuing with mask mandates. Therefore, I urge you to ignore such ignorance from fringe groups who do nothing but undermine public safety. Your continued leadership and acknowledgement of sanity and reason is greatly appreciated by the majority of the Seminole County community. The next comment comes from Erin Tammy, who lives in Oviedo. And Tammy writes, thank you for taking the time to hear the concerns of the community. My name is Erin Tammy, and I am a graduate of Seminole County Public School System. I am now a medical student at the University of Florida. I am writing in support of keeping the mask mandate in our schools. I understand that wearing masks can be difficult and frustrating. However, as with all things in medicine and public health, we must weigh the risk and the benefits. The inconveniences of wearing masks are far outweighed by the benefits. While masks do not completely stop the transmission of SARS-CoV-2, they most definitely decrease the risk of spread. When we talk, we constantly send tiny droplets of our respiratory materials, saliva, mucus, germs into the air. A proper mask catches most of those droplets and stops them from entering into the air that we share with others. This is particularly important in COVID-19 because we know that some people might be contagious before they start to show symptoms. If everyone wears a mask, then we know that even those people who are infected and are asymptomatic are keeping most of their contagious respiratory droplets contained. I wear a mask not so much because it protects me, but because it protects the people around me from potential contagious droplets that I might unknowingly spread. I strongly encourage you to keep a mask mandate in place for the greater good of Seminole County Public School community. Thank you. The fifth comment comes from Melissa Simmons from Castleberry. I got to put the timer on this one too. Dear Seminole County School Board, I am writing as a concerned parent and resident of Seminole County. My 6-year-old son used to attend Redbug Lake Elementary, but since the mask mandates and social distancing orders, I have been forced to find alternative methods of schooling. I oppose mask mandates and advocate for individuals who have mask choices for students, teachers, and staff. As research and science has proven, masks can cause a number of health-related issues, psychological and emotional challenges as well: depression, anxiety, dizziness, dehydration, bacterial infections, strep, and a number of other issues. As these issues concern me, it was the best interest for my family to leave the public school system. As your recent ruling to make masks permanent also concerns me, as this form of government overreach should not be along in our school systems, raising a generation of children that are going to have a plethora of issues. Will the school board be held liable for denying parental rights, taking away individual liberties, denying medical exemptions, and the aftermath of the negative effects mask mandates will cause on our children? The propaganda and marketing to push the mask mandate is horrifying. Instead of teaching and encouraging immune-supporting programs, food choices, exercise, outdoor play, and physical touch, which all increase immune support, you constantly promote isolation, fear, not getting proper oxygen, lack of individual liberty, lack of learning social skills, the instilling of in a generation thoughts and ideas that only fit a political agenda, all of which lower immune response. As the school board preaches about safety and health, it seems the ruling and decisions you make go against what you propose. Mask mandates are a prelude to vaccine mandates. The political agenda is clear. If we can't qualify for medical exemptions for a medical grade product, mask, and parents can't write a note to keep their kids from wearing a mask, then what will happen when the vaccine is introduced? How will the school board deal with the financial loss of parents not willing to comply to these fascist rules? Mask choice is a better option. When did we lose choice over our own health and our own children? If more parents, staff, and children stood up to this government overreach and refused to comply with the school board, we would have drastically changed course as they would lose funding and support. I refuse to comply. I refuse to support a system that doesn't honor children, their emotional, psychological, mental, and physical growth, that doesn't respect the boundaries of families and parental rights. What will you do when these children are more sick because of constant mask wearing? What will you do when they realize that the propaganda you're selling is causing more damage than finding a better solution? And the mask mandate. As a concerned parent and an American patriot, I will keep advocating for medical freedom, individual liberty, and our constitutional rights. I am a freedom keeper. Melissa Simmons. That's our last one. I'm finished.
Dr. Griffin, you have anything to add? Okay, thank you. Item 5AB, invitation to negotiate. It's for child care management software. Is there a board member that's interested? It is not required that we serve. Okay, we don't have any interest in that. Thank you. Superintendent, you have a recommendation for consent?
I do, Madam Chair. My recommendation is that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Dr. Calderon, Member Kraus.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Griffin, do you have a report for us?
There are 2 items in the superintendent's report, and they are read-only items, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Board members, do you have anything to report as far as committees? Member Krause?
I do, just briefly. I'm looking for my notes. I had them on my phone. Sorry. I attended the Children's Cabinet where they held, they have a new chair, and so it was sort of a reorg kind of meeting. And Joe Rinaldi, is he still here? Yes. Do you have updates from the Business Advisory Board? I had a quick ER trip with my dad, so I wasn't able to attend the Business Advisory.
It was a short business advisory board, but we do have a new member coming in that does have a background in mental health. So we kind of reviewed her resume. So we'll hopefully be putting that individual on the board at the next upcoming full board meeting, which will be in January. So that was really the primary topic that we addressed.
Okay, thank you. Our leadership class 29, the class that never ends, was just announced today that there was a separation between the group that did the team building at the Canterbury and Canterbury. So they've drifted apart. So our new, our fundraising will go towards the opioid crisis.
Okay.
That was a close second in our votes. So we'll support the sheriff's office with dealing with the opioid crisis. And Dr. Griffin graciously agreed to go to graduation with me, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
And who's the new chair of Children's Cabinet? Oh, good. Thank you. Vice Chair Pennock.
As just the PSFPC meeting, you got a recap today. The new interlocal agreement is in the process. Very proud and excited to get that done. And that was it. I will let Abby talk about Arts Alive from the foundation.
Thank you. Dr. Calderon.
Our Zoom meeting had to get postponed due to the hurricane that was coming. So they spent the night locking down and preparing for that. So that meeting is postponed till tomorrow. But I did want to state a few things to congratulate all the newly elected officials, including Abby and Amy, but with all the cities and the county as well. And we as a school board, I know, look forward to working collaboratively with our state and local officials. Many of us attended, unfortunately, the funeral of a longtime educator, Nancy Haggerty, and wanted to send our prayers to the family. Our ex-superintendent, Dr. Haggerty's wife, and Nancy and herself was a phenomenal educator, worked here at Winter Springs High School for many, many years. And I wanted to thank Dr. Griffin for representing us so well at the PBAS meeting last week, along with Dr. Lorenz, talking to the business community and listening to the business community of how education is pivoting and can meet everybody's needs in the future. And I guess, Abby, you'll report on Arts Alive, but as one attendee, I just wanted to congratulate Jean, her entire team, and all the talent that was there that night. It was a wonderful event. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Sanchez.
I'll go ahead and go with the Arts Alive update first. There was a lot of people engaged on the live event, as well as doing the auction early and having the swag bags and all the different things like that. It was extremely successful. We didn't quite make our goal, but very close to it with 113,000 and still money coming in. I can't begin to say enough about how talented our faculty and our students are, and extremely impressed with all the different acts and talent, including ours, that Dr. Williams and Lindsay helped put together. And I just wanted to give out a huge thank you to the Arts Alive committee, as well as our chairs, Rachel Fernandez and Missy Mercado and Jean in charge of the foundation. It really was flawless. I mean, it really was amazing, and I think it really opened up a lot of eyes looking at a lot of the comments, seeing that people were saying, wow, we have so much talent. That the fact that they really never had a chance to go because maybe the tickets were so pricey, but they actually had a chance to, sit down, relax, and be a family together and watch it was just remarkable. And I really, truly enjoyed it, and I know my family did as well, because they usually don't go with me because it's so expensive. And then I also wanted to talk about Allie's Hope Foundation. Dr. Calderon and I had an opportunity to model last week for them. It's a board that I serve on for mental health. Allie had died of suicide many years ago, and we are still moving along with as many things as we possibly can do to raise money. It looks like Dillard's, this was their first fashion show with us, and we had all kinds of different things that we did, but for 3 days, they gave us 10% towards Allie's Hope on everything that they sold. And when I left at the very end of Sunday, their numbers weren't tallied in, but it looks like we're going to get about $150,000. And yes, this is something that the CEO, who's close with Joe Gallagher, who's in charge of everything, said that, that the CEO was watching this and would like to do this nationwide. So it's something that he's passionate about and really, really big into helping Allie's Hope. So that's more help for our students as well as our faculty members and so on and so forth. And then the coalition meeting. And one more thing with the Glasswell Hope is coming up soon too. That's December 3rd. That is also for Allie's Hope Mental Health. That's on a Thursday night. We have different food venues and vendors and things like that. It's a great fundraiser to help raise awareness. We have a lot of our county officials and mental health counselors as well that do participate in it. So it's a really great thing to bring your family to as well. And then the coalition meeting, Dr. Calderon and Christine Krause were able to also listen in. And we talked, it was our first meeting that we've had in a very long time, probably 8 months, I want to say, and something I've been wanting for a while. But seems like everybody's on page with us, in agreement about the fact that, the superintendent group that has already talked to Dr. Griffin when he initiated the, let's go back and Commissioner Corcoran, as well as our governor, look over everything right now. This is not the time to be giving out school grades. It's not the time to be doing, looking at the assessments to a point that they're going to affect the VAM scores or the students in a sense that they cannot be promoted or whatever it may be, but to use it as an assessment, no problem with FSA. But let's take the stress off the teachers and faculty as well as the students and use that information to share with the rest of everybody the data to see how their learning gap is still happening. And at that point right now, it seems like every single school board is in agreement with us, and we'll continue discussing it as well with others. And I know I took some notes earlier that you wanted me to add to it, so I will do that. But they want to make sure that we have their voting ready to go for this, and education with early learning and making sure that we do everything we need to do. And also, one quick thing I wanted to say, I know many people have already left, but when a teacher is 6 feet apart, they can take their mask down. There's a safe space in most classrooms that we have visited. I would say a good 99% of classrooms have that safe space where they can take their mask down. Plus, when they're eating lunch, they do not wear their masks. As well as if they have a partition, which is something that we added, they can have their mask as long as they're 6 feet apart from somebody. When they're in a group setting, it's kind of similar to any other situation. And, I know a lot of us have gone through different things, but I will tell you, 3 out of my 4 children have had COVID, along with, I can't begin to tell you how many people that have passed away. It's not just about our children. They're extremely important, extremely, but they can be carriers. My son had no idea he had it. And he had it, and it can come home, it can go anywhere else, and I know many of you, just like me, have lost many family members, or not just family members, but friends, loved ones, or people that you know. So it's better to be on the safe side, but also to make sure that the teachers realize that, you can pull the mask down as long as you are following the proper protocol. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you've left me nothing to report, but I will congratulate the two of you on your reelection.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beeman, you have a request?
Yes, board members, I do. I am in need of advice concerning pending litigation against the school board, and as such, I'm requesting an executive session take place on December 15th in the matter of Wallace versus City of Sanford and the school board, case number 2019-CA002782. This meeting will be appropriately advertised, and outside counsel for the school board, Mr. Robert Bonner, will also be in attendance to participate in the session.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have a time on that? 2 p.m., thank you. And you have it already on our calendars? Or a hold on our calendars? Great. Thank you. With no further business at the school board meeting, this meeting is